So domestic and global relocation, policy and program development, and global assignment administration services. So just a couple real quick housekeeping items before we get started. In the lower left-hand corner of your screen, you will see the chat box. And if you have any questions, please feel free to type them into that chat box, and we will answer them at the conclusion of today's webinar. If we run out of time or for some reason we can't get to your question, please know that we will follow up with you offline. I promise that we will make that happen. So if you want to check the chat box, if you want to type your name in there and simply hit the enter button, you can see if that is working. So if you'd like to, go ahead and give that a shot. And we will also be pushing out a couple of multiple choice questions during the webinar. So please kind of stay tuned for those, and we'd love to get your input. You don't get any points if you answer incorrectly, so there's nothing to worry about that. And everybody is on mute, so you don't need to worry if your phone rings or someone walks into your office to ask you a question. We're not going to be able to hear you. And today's webinar is being recorded, and everyone's going to receive a copy of the recording as well as the link for ERC and HRCI recertification credit. And as you know from the invitation that you received, we're going to cover a host of different topics, everything from some background on Germany, on the culture, a lot of time on visa and immigration issues. That seems to be a really important subject for a lot of people. We'll talk about all the other things, where you live, how you get around, shopping, healthcare, and a couple of entertainment types of things. So we'll make sure we cover all of that for you. And this webinar is a collaborative effort with one of our most trusted destination services providers, Palladium Mobility Group. And Marcus DeMoose is the co-founder and managing director for Palladium, and he has assisted more than 10,000 assignees over the past 17 years with settling in and acclimating to Germany. And Marcus is joining us live today from Munich. So without further delay, I would like to introduce our presenter, Marcus DeMoose with Palladium. Marcus, it's all yours.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Rhonda, for the introduction, and welcome to everybody. I'm very glad that I got the chance to present you our country and to give you some information about living in Germany and how to get to Germany the best way. So we have a couple of topics. I don't know how much you know about Germany. Well, it's in the middle of Europe. That's maybe something everybody should know. But we have about 82 million people as of last year. Our country was founded after the Second World War on the 23rd of May. So yesterday, today is birthday of the country. And we are a federal constitutional republic. Our currency is the euro, and our language is, of course, German. Our time zone in the winter time is UTC+1, and in summer UTC+2. And, well, the temperature in the winter is up to -10 degrees Celsius, which means about 14 degrees Fahrenheit. And in the summertime, hopefully, it's up to 30 to 35 degrees Celsius. Which means 86 to 95 degrees Fahrenheit. And well, the most important topic, as Rhonda already mentioned, for everybody is usually the topic immigration. And well, we had a couple of changes in the immigration law over the last years. And Germany is attracting people to come over because we are short in specialized and high qualified people. Therefore, we have a couple of changes in the last years. We have two different classes of immigration types. We divide, first of all, we have the European nationals, first class. EU nationals, well, it's a Palladium internal first class, but well, we have all the countries that belong to the European Union since a couple of years. They are first class, and then we have just two countries in the European Union, Bulgaria and Romania, who are the second class because there are some restrictions for their access to the German labor market. And then, of course, we have the non-European nationals, and they are split into privileged countries like, well, the US, South Korea, Japan, Israel, Canada, and Australia, and a few more rich countries. And then the non-privileged countries like, well, China, Russia, India, and all the rest of the globe. And then we have very special, the European Blue Card for non-European nationals. But first of all, back to the European nationals plus Swiss nationals. The first class nationals just need to be registered at the local town hall, and then they are treated like German nationals related to the labor market. That means they can work European-wide for all employers they like to, so there are no restrictions. And then we have the second class, as I mentioned, the Romanian and the Bulgarian people. They need a work permit and the work permit must be applied abroad. After their arrival in Germany, they must be registered at the local town hall, and then they get the right to work. The non-European nationals, again, the privileged countries, well, the work permit must be applied in Germany before the arrival in Germany. It's very, very important. And, well, no visa is needed to enter Germany, but privileged nationals are not allowed to work even a day before the authority visits in Germany are completed. Well, we often have the problem that actually the US Americans are coming over without a visa and going to the office and start working, and clearly not allowed. The following steps must be fulfilled. First of all, they must be registered at the local town hall, and then we have to apply for the electronic residence and work permit at the local immigration office. Permit is called Aufenthaltsgenehmigung, which means residence permit, more or less. And we will get at the same time usually an interim work permit that allows him to start working from this day on for 90 days. Because the electronic permit is centralized printed in Berlin, and it takes about 3 to 4 weeks to get it back, and that it's ready for pickup. So to bridge this window, this time frame, an interim work permit will be issued. Non-privileged countries, where the work permit must be applied at the German consulate in the home country. They need a D visa to enter Germany, but non-privileged nationals are allowed to work from day one after their arrival in Germany for the duration of the visa. Usually it's 90 days, especially for the Indians. They usually get a visa for half of a year. And, well, the visa must be converted within the visa duration into an electronic work and residence permit. The process is in country, here in Germany, very simple. They have to be registered at the local town hall, and we have then to apply for the electronic residence and work permit at the local immigration office. And after 4 to 6 weeks, they will get the card, the electronic work and residence permit. It looks a little bit like a credit card, same format. And the specialist, well, the European EU Blue Card for non-European nationals. Again, Germany is attracting high-qualified people to come over, and there are just very simple requirements that must be fulfilled to get the right for a blue card. The assignees, the transferees, need a local and unlimited labor contract. They need a university diploma, and for normal jobs, they need a minimum gross income of 46,400 euros gross. And, well, we have some special professions like the IT specialists or engineers. They just need an income of 36,192 euros a year. The big advantages are, well, the first permit will be valid for 4 years, and the extension is usually not a problem. And The big plus is that the spouse is also allowed to work. Permit must be applied, but will be approved. And this is for many transfers a big plus. And therefore, the Blue Card in Germany is a great success. Disadvantages for the employer. The Blue Cards are limited for 2 years to the employer. After 2 years, the employee can easily change the employer. So keep this in mind. If you bring someone over, they can change the employer after 2 years. Dependent immigration, well, usually the spouse and the children are allowed to accompany the transferee. Its basic requirements are fulfilled. The salary is enough to finance the family life in Germany. The health insurance must include the family members, and the children of school age must be registered in an official school within a certain period of time. And especially for the American, homeschool in Germany is generally not allowed. Just a short wrap-up again about visa and immigration. Blue Card approval process is between 5 to 30 days. It depends always on the location. Especially here, for example, in Munich, we usually get an approval for Blue Card within sometimes within a day, sometimes it takes a week. We've got other destinations like Berlin or Essen, Cologne, then it can take up to 30 days. Challenges, well, the regular work permit process is between 4 to 8 weeks. And again, especially US Americans often start working without a work permit in Germany. They think that they can easily start working here because it was very easy for them to enter the country. And often immigration officers don't speak English or any other foreign language. They usually insist on German. And well, some cities have application forms just in German. Some cities, progressive ones, usually have application forms, minimum German, English, and sometimes French. Cultural, political, and business climate.
Hi, Marcus. It's Rhonda.
Yep.
Hello.
Yes.
We wanted to do a quick little geography quiz for our folks on the call today. I'm going to push a poll out, and again, you're not going to get, any demerits if you don't have the right answer. Some of you just take a logical guess. But what we want to know is how many countries border Germany. So your choices are 3, 5, 7, or 9. So I don't think you'll have time to Google that because we're not going to leave the poll open for that long. But I want to see what our American colleagues here know about European geography. We're getting answers in right now. So everybody knows it's not 3, so that's good. Giving you a hint there. So it's definitely more than 3. Last chance. Let's see if we get any more guesses in here. All righty. I'm going to go ahead and close that poll really quick. Oh, somebody said they meant 9. Okay, well, Beth, you get credit. Beth corrected herself. The correct answer is 9. Germany is bordered by 9 different countries. Those are Austria, France, Switzerland, Denmark, Belgium, Luxembourg, Holland, the Czech Republic, and Poland. So that is quite a significant border crossing that you have there, Marcus. So I will turn it back over to you. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, cultural aspects, the population at a glance. Well, there are 81% are Germans. We have about 2% Asians, 4% Turks. 7% other Europeans, and 6% non-European, just to give you a rough idea. Local traditions are very different, and well, there is no typical German. As you can see, all the, well, it's not a uniform, it's, we call it Tracht, And well, the Germans in the north of Germany are totally different to the Germans in the south. And by the way, the picture on the right side it's me and my wife in Bavarian leather trousers at the Munich Oktoberfest Beer Festival. About 30% are Catholic, 29% are Protestant. We've got about 5% Muslim, and well, most of us, about 32%, have no religion, and then we of course have 4% other religions like Buddhism and a few more. Work style, well, we are well known in the world as very straight, frank, direct, efficient, clock-like, and organized, and also that we are never smiling and never celebrating. And well, sometimes it's an advantage and sometimes it's a challenge. The assimilation depends a little bit on the region where you are going or where you plan to send your people over to Germany. All the bigger cities are very open-minded. If we are thinking about the Black Forest or the deep Bavarian forest close to the Czech or Polish borders, then maybe the assimilation is not that easy. Well, it's an advantage for us, I think. Well, we are straight, frank, direct, efficient, and clock-like, and organized. It's sometimes an advantage, sometimes it's a challenge. And, well, nobody knows that Germany is very, very liberal-minded over the last years. For example, we have a female chancellor, Angela Merkel. We've got a gay minister of foreign affairs, Guido Westerwelle. And our economy minister is a Vietnam refugee, Philipp Rösler. Well, so therefore, we are not only blonde and blue eyes, we are now multicultural. Germany is the strongest economy in Europe. We've got the lowest unemployment rate in Europe with less than 7%. Personal tax rate progressive from 0 to 48%. The corporate tax depends on the location. Again, Munich, well, it's not only the city with the highest rents in Germany, it also has the highest corporate taxes. The German general VAT is 90%, and we've got a special rate of 7%, for example, for books and food. We have no or very little corruption, and well, enforcement of intellectual property rights is very strict here. Global talent is welcome. We attract people to come over, and we've got a very stable government. Advantages for corporate in Germany. Well, again, we are the biggest and strongest European economy. Visa process is quick. Germany, well, especially Frankfurt, is a financial center, the second strongest financial center in Europe, together with London. We have a very low crime rate. We have political stable and, well, easy region access. We've got the second biggest airport in Europe, Frankfurt, for example, and I think Munich now is the third or fourth biggest in Europe. We have high standards of infrastructure and healthcare, and well, our currency is currently a challenge. The euro is currently a little bit weak because of the economic problems of the South European countries. So weak European economy environment is really an issue for corporate clients. But Germany is still okay. Housing. I just want to show you a couple of pictures very soon. In general, well, housing is very clean and safe living environment. We have no slums or ghettos. We are well connected for public transport and amenities. Real estate transactions are straightforward and well managed. Just to give you some examples, here I think a very beautiful detached house in Munich. That's a very typical detached house in the northern part of Germany. That's, well, Bavarian style, the outskirts. That's a good sample for modern apartment houses. I think this the house has 6 apartments. Very clean, very new per building. That's another sample. 6 or 8 different apartments within the house. And well, everybody, if we are sending out our transfer questionnaires at the very beginning of a relocation process, everybody ticks the box modern style and very modern and well, no rugs. And after arriving in Germany, they see all the Victorian houses we have. Houses are about 150 to 100 years old. Wooden floors, high ceiling, and well, you can see they are absolutely beautiful, but they are of course expensive. And after they have seen all the Victorian houses, most of especially single or couples would like to live in an apartment in a Victorian style house. And then of course we have these kinds of houses. And to be honest, well, most of our Indian IT transferees prefer to live there because they would like to save money. I see the question from David. The typical rent. Well, it's really hard to say because the rent depends on the location. Again, Munich is the most expensive city. If you like to rent here a 2-bedroom apartment in a well, good environment in the city center, well, it can easily cost you 1,500 euros, which means currently $2,100 a month, plus utilities. If we are talking about Berlin, for example, they have for a big city low rent. Then maybe you just have to spend 1,000 euros. If we are talking about remote destinations, you sometimes get in a 2-bedroom apartment for 400 or 500 euros. Hope that answers your question, David. Advantages of the housing. Well, we have a tenant-friendly rental law, and well, it's a very quick market, which is also a challenge. We always inform the transferees. Well, sometimes we don't want to be too pushy, but you don't have the time. You don't have the time to think about an apartment if you like, rent it or not, 2 or 3, 4 days. Usually then it's gone. You have a night. You don't have to agree whilst the property visit on the apartment, but well, you have to make a decision within 24, at least 48 hours. Always a challenge for the transferee, if they have to pay it by their own, are the first payment or the first payment. Usually it's a total 6-month rent. Why? Very easy. If a realtor is involved, he would like to have 2 months commission. The deposit is usually 3 months rent. And first of all, well, you have to pay the first month's rent up front, which means in total 6 months, which is really a tremendous amount for most of the countries. And large pets, well, pets in general are a challenge, but large pets like golden retriever, for example, it's really a challenge. The landlords, whenever they have an alternative candidate without a pet, they always will choose the one without a pet. That's sometimes really tricky for the US Americans. They really want to understand it. But please keep it in mind. It's really a challenge for everybody. Transportation. Well, public transport. We have buses in all cities and towns. We've got trams. In some cities, we've got underground. In some cities, we've got suburban trains just in a few cities. We have trains between the most cities and speed trains between the metropoles and flights between the biggest metropoles. But well, if you are taking a train from Munich to Frankfurt, the speed train needs about 3.5 hours, and it's a 1-hour flight. If you're going from Berlin to Frankfurt, It's usually 5.5 hours by speed train and also about a 1 hour flight. Vehicles, well, I'm very proud. Well, Germany is a country of origin, and all the brands you can see, the Mercedes, Volkswagen, Porsche, Audi, BMW are German brands. So this is really not an issue in Germany. Advantages of transportation, well, we have no general speed limit on the motorway. For some of the countries, it's a challenge because sometimes there is a speed limit and they miss the traffic signs, and if they really trapped into a speed trap or into a radar, from time to time we have countries losing their driving license for 4 or 8 weeks. Public transport is very clean, frequent, and most of the time. Fuel is more expensive than in other destinations. As of today, 1 liter petrol costs €1.60. And well, public transport is not expensive, but also not cheap, which means if you like to take a train again from Munich to Frankfurt, the 3.5 hours drive costs you in the second class about €120 one way.
Hi, Marcus. It's Rhonda again. We're going to push out another polling question to our audience that relates to the Autobahn and the whole driving scheme that Germans have. And so I'm going to ask our audience once again to vote on what percentage of German highways have no speed limit. We know it's not 100%. There is some, sense of keeping things to a minimum. But click on 30, 50, 70, or 90%. And then imagine, if you will, what that would be like in the United States. I don't even want to go there, but some places in Texas and Montana apparently are getting pretty close. So it looks like the majority of people have chosen the correct answer. So congratulations, the correct answer is 90%. Oh, excuse me, 70%, I beg your pardon, do not have a speed limit in Germany. So something to keep in mind with assignees, that while that's a great freedom, there's also tickets involved if you get caught, as Marcus mentioned. So with that, I'll turn it back to Marcus.
Education, well, it's always one of the key things or key issues for a transferee. We have, of course, public kindergartens and private kindergartens. The general problem in Germany is that, well, we have not enough places at the kindergartens, and it doesn't matter if it's public or private kindergarten. We are very short in places, and usually we have long waiting lists. By the way, also the public kindergarten is not cost-free. Depends on the city, but just to give you an idea, in Frankfurt, I think it's about €500 per child a month, and in Munich it's between €600 and €900 a month per child in a public kindergarten. If we are talking about the private kindergarten, especially the international preschool, we are more or less on the same level like for the school, which means about 15,000 to 18,000 euros a year per child, plus enrollment fees, plus bus services and meals. The advantages of the education system is, well, I think we have a high standard. We have good teachers and the choice of curriculum. Again, we have very rare kindergarten places and long waiting lists, which means, well, we currently have a case from a Korean company, Korean family, and they are looking for a kindergarten place here in Munich, and they just received the okay for next year, August, which means August 2014. Well, kindergartens are usually not free of charge, as I mentioned. There are some remote destinations. There's a little village in Bavaria nearby the Austrian and Czech border called Burghausen. They, for example, there are the kindergartens free of charge because they attract people to come over, especially young families. Healthcare, well, I think the German healthcare system is very popular. We have, again, public healthcare, and, well, public healthcare covers all needed treatments in medicine. And, well, public healthcare is cheap for families. Private healthcare, well, you need a minimum income, or you have to be self-employed to get the right to be private health insured. It's expensive for families because you have to pay for every single family member, and well, their special treatments will be paid. Shopping and dining, entertainment. Well, as you can see, we have local market shopping, all kinds of fruits and vegetables, all kind of, well, all these things are easy to get. Mostly, in some cities, it's every Wednesday or it's every Saturday. In the bigger cities, they have local market shopping possibilities every day. Here you can see some pictures from the Victorian Markt in Munich city center, and it's opened Monday to Saturday from the morning till the evening. But we also have supermarkets. So I think we can compare them to the big US supermarket chains. Whatever you would like to have, you can get it. Also, international food is not a big issue. And we, of course, have special supermarkets for international food like Korean food or Indian or Chinese food. All global brands are available. For everything you buy in Germany, you will get 2 years guarantee. Doesn't matter if it's a car or a TV or DVD, you will get 2 years of guarantee. We have very high hygienic standards, and organic food is very popular and affordable. Challenges, especially for Americans, credit cards are not that popular. That means you can't buy a roll in a bakery with a credit card. And we have, and this is usually the biggest challenge for everybody, we have no Sunday shopping, which means our usual opening hours for all the supermarkets, groceries, etc., are from Monday till Saturday from 8 a.m. till 8 p.m. And the rest of the time, the shops are closed. Eating out, well, it's not an issue. It's very easy. As you can see, as soon as the weather is nice, everybody's sitting outside drinking cappuccino or eating Schweinshaxen, whatever. We have very international food and kitchen there, so eating out, no ish. Fine dining, no problem. If you have the money, no problem. Well, all kinds of foods and restaurants are available, and I think we don't have a challenge in dining in Germany. Leisure activities for families. Well, as we have learned from Rhonda, we have borders to 9 different countries. We also have in the North Sea and the Baltic Sea, we've got mountains in the middle of Germany, and we've got the Alps in the south. We have lakes, so all kinds of leisure activities are available. On the right-hand side, well, it was also on the start slide. It's Castle Neuschwanstein from the King Ludwig II in Bavaria, which is one of the most frequent tourist attraction in Germany. And well, you can sail, you can go, you can hunt, you can track, whatever you want, you can do it. We have a great collection of private and public theaters, cinemas, and museums. There are many, many very popular museums in Germany. English cinemas are available in bigger cities like Berlin, Cologne, Hamburg, and Munich. And, well, I think English cinemas are really available in all cities with just English movies. Germany is a country of Mozart, Bach, Wagner, Handel, and Beethoven, the conductors. We are also the country of Goethe, Schiller, Lessing, Karl Marx, Fontane, Heinrich, Brecht, and Mann. And we are a country of Klee, Friedrich, and Mark. And just to give some basis to the names, you can see Mozart, who was born in Salzburg. At this time, Salzburg was part of Germany, not of Austria. On the left-hand side below, you can see Bertolt Brecht. In the middle, Karl Marx, and then some pictures from Franz Marc. And on the right-hand side, you can see Goethe. But also, we have pop groups, and we are not sure if everybody knows that these groups are German. Well, all the younger people should know Tokyo Hotel. They are very international. They are traveling mostly to Japan and are very successful in Asia. We've got Scooter, we've got Kraftwerk. They founded the techno music style. And we've got of course, Rammstein, and I think they're very popular in the US.
Great, Marcus. Well, thank you. Thank you very much. That was a lot of really good information on a lot of important topics. And we do have several questions that have come in, so I want to make sure we get to as many of those as possible. The first two are very similar, but let me start with one that's specific to the U.S. The question is, what are the biggest hurdles individuals relocating from the U.S. can expect to face as they try to assimilate in German society? What are the greatest challenges for Americans?
Language. Because, well, all the younger people are more or less fluent in English, but the older people are not. And, well, especially the US Americans usually are not very willed to speak German or to learn the language. And that's sometimes really a big issue for the Germans and also for the Americans.
Okay, great. The next question is, which nationalities tend to have greater difficulty in adjusting to German culture? And do you have any suggestions on how to properly manage expectations?
Well, the funny thing is that someone from China has less problems in assimilating in Germany than, for example, someone from the Netherlands or from Belgium. Because, well, the Chinese know that they are different, and therefore they totally understand that we are different. The Belgian people think that, well, they have a border to Germany. For them, it's half an hour drive to Germany, and they think they are more or less the same, and they are not. Belgians or Polish people or Austrians, well, Austrians speak German, but they are totally different to Germans. And, well, management of expectations is, I think it's very, very important that everybody gets trained, intercultural training, private and business-wise, for living and working in Germany. And, well, management of expectations is, I think it's very important to tell them very clear that it takes a couple of weeks and months to get familiar with Germany. And, well, if they know it and someone is telling them it's them, then I think it's a big help.
Okay, great. Thanks, Marcus. Another question, completely unrelated to what we just spoke about. Can assignees take their small appliances with them, or do they need special adapters?
They need special adapters. We've got 220 volts and 50 hertz, and I think the US Americans especially have 110 and 60 hertz. So they
Right.
need adapters.
Okay, good.
And,
Good to know.
well,
We get asked that once in a while.
Yeah, and well, everything that is turning, like a CD player, DVD player, or a washing machine, they really have problems with the hertz, and then well, the machine doesn't work here.
Okay. Somebody asked if you could expand a little bit on what sort of temporary living accommodations are available.
Well, we have furnished apartments from private landlords that you can rent for a certain period of time. Usually, you will sign unlimited contract. If you just have an assignment for 12 months, for example, we always recommend to still sign an unlimited contract, because if you sign for 12 months, you have more or less no chance to get out of the contract. And well, then of course we've got all the big chains of furnished apartments here. We've got boarding houses. And well, again, it always depends on the location. Frankfurt is not an issue. In all the bigger cities, it's not an issue. But if we are talking about not the well-known cities, then we often have problems in finding furnished apartments.
Great, thank you. We have a couple people asking about driver's licenses. Can they use their U.S. license, or does Germany require an international driver's license to drive?
Well, they can drive with U.S. driving license or with all foreign driving licenses 6 months, exactly 6 months after their official registration in Germany, which means if they drive 6 months on one day and they get stopped by the police, sometimes it's a direct way to jail, minimum for a couple of days, or they have to really, well, they really get a ticket, and it's not a cheap one. Therefore, it's very important that the driving license is one of the first things we usually trigger or start when they come over. And there's a funny story about, especially the US. We have, we call it attachment 11, and on attachment 11, we have all the US states, and we have privileged US states and non-privileged US states, which means if you have a driving license from California, you have to make a theoretical and a practical test to get a German driving license. If you have a driving license from Illinois, for example, you just have to convert it. It must be translated, and you will get it within 4 weeks without a test. And well, passing a theoretical and practical test in Germany means usually, well, the theoretical tests are 30 questions. You can answer the questions in English. But, well, the practical test is usually a big challenge for everybody. Therefore, it's very important that we know from the very beginning in which state the driving license was issued.
Wow, very interesting. I did not know that. Good to know.
Yeah.
We have a question about shipping into Germany. Are there any particular restrictions that we should be aware of?
You mean household shipping?
Yes, I believe that's the reference as household goods.
Well, restrictions, well, of course, all the popular things like weapons and drugs and narcotics. But, well, there's no restriction in DVDs or in regular personal effects. So there are not restrictions like in China or in some Asian or Arabic countries. We don't have things like these. It's very important, well, for the customs clearance. For the customs clearance, the work or residence permit is not needed. We just need the registration certificate, which means as soon as we register the people at the local town hall, we get a piece of paper. We call it Anmeldebestätigung. and they need the Anmeldebestätigung and a passport copy and a support letter from the company confirming that they are moving to Germany, and the inventory list. That's it.
Great, thank you. During the presentation, you mentioned with regards to private health care that there was a minimum income needed for private health care. Can you tell us what that minimum is?
About 47,000 a year. 47,000
37.
euros.
Okay.
47.
Okay, very good.
47, yeah.
We have a question with regards to the various amounts that have to be paid for rentals. And Tanya would like to know, she asks, is it typical to pay a settling-in agent for their time to find an apartment and pay the 2-month commission to the realtor?
Yes. Well,
so that,
it always, again, depends on the location and on the properties we are looking for. We as Palladium have, we use the internet, we use existing relationships with landlords, with real estate agencies. We are using the newspaper, and well, as soon as a realtor is involved, you have to pay 2 months commission. Yes.
Okay. Anna has a good question. Since credit cards are not widely accepted, are ATM machines available? Are they pretty plentiful in most towns and cities?
Of course. Well, ATMs are, I don't know how many thousand ATMs we have in Germany, so that's not an issue. Well, we have, as an alternative, we've got debit cards, and sometimes you can buy 2 rolls in a bakery with a debit card, but not really with the American Express or MasterCard. So we will usually help the people opening a bank account, and we will then apply for a debit card. We call them EC card or Maestro card, and well, they will get the card within 10 to 14 days, depending on the bank, and then they can go to the ATM and they can pull money, usually without any fees, if they use the ATM from their own bank.
Great, thank you. We have a question on immigration. You mentioned with the EU Blue Card for non-EU nationals that spouses are allowed to work. Is that spousal employment valid for individuals from any country, any non-EU country? Okay. Yes. Good to know. Another immigration question. What are the combined administrative fees to obtain a D visa for the first 90 days and then the electronic work residence permit? What does that cost in total? Well,
the D visa depends again on the consulate abroad. The German consulate, it's usually between 50 and 60 euros for the D visa per person. And well, the governmental fee for the electronic residence and work permit is per adult 110 euros. And for children below 16, it's 55 euros each. And
I think
if we apply for the interim work and residence permit, which is just a green piece of paper, it's usually 20 euros each.
Okay, great. We have time for a few more questions, so if anybody on the webinar has a question, please feel free to type that in now. One question with regards, this is more on the recruitment side, how are jobs in Germany typically posted and recruited for?
Via the internet, on the company's home pages, or, well, we have web pages like Monster.de or Job.ag.de, but usually all companies offer their jobs on their own web pages.
Okay, sounds similar to what we do here in the States. A question regarding housing. Do most homes have yards?
Homes, yes. apartment? No. And well, very important, usually, well, air conditioning is very unpopular, and there's really no need for it. So no air conditioning in Germany. But if you like to have an air conditioner, you can buy it for, well, I don't know, 500 to 800,000 euros.
Okay, great. Well, I think that is all of our questions. And I just want to thank everyone again for being on this call, and especially thank Marcus for giving us such great information. And as you'll see on the slide that you have in front of you, we have Marcus's contact information, including Palladium's website, as well as Marcus's phone and email. And we also have my personal email and Cornerstone's contact information. So please feel free to contact either one of us should you have any questions. Sometime tomorrow, you should receive an email that will have a link to the recording of the webinar, and you'll also get a PDF of the slides that were delivered today. And for those of you who are interested in ERC and or HRCI certification credit, we will provide that information to you as well. So again, I want to thank Marcus, and I want to thank all of you for joining us today. For those of you calling in from the States that are enjoying a holiday on Monday, I wish you a very safe and happy Memorial Day, and hope the rest of today is outstanding. Thank you very much for joining us today. We appreciate it.
Thank you.